大家好，今天解读 a16z 与 Stripe 产品与业务总裁 Will Gaybrick 对话的内容。内容来源是 a16z 官方的最新访谈播客。作为 Stripe 内部仅次于创始人兄妹的业务2号人物 Will 在这次对话里透露， Stripe 现在其实已经完全不是一个单纯的支付公司了，而是进化成了一整套帮企业跑得更快、更灵活的金融操作系统。更重磅的是，他们内部的编码 AI Agent 每周已经能自动提交几千个代码修改，而且他们正在全面布局 Agentic Commerce、智能体商业，还有 Stablecoins 稳定币。面对这场前所未有的 AI 生产力革命，未来的商业和金融基础设施到底会变成什么样 ？OK， 那我们就话不多说，直接开始。先看第一点，关于 Stripe 的定位。我有聊到一个很有意思的现象，他说 Stripe 现在干的事情跟以前彻底倒过来了。他的原话是：我们内部把 Stripe 想成已经倒置了价值主张，从支付公司加附加功能，变成以金融基础设施为核心的多产品平台，目标是减少摩擦，提升企业行动力。这里解读一下， Stripe 现在根本不是一个单纯的收款工具了，说白了，它现在是在做一整套帮企业办事的金融操作系统。你想想，真正能够穿越周期的底座平台，往往都是从一个极小的切口进去，最终把自己做成大家离不开的水和电。继续看第二点，关于 AI 初创公司的爆发正在让全球的软件创造量急剧上升。我有原话， AI 公司注册量明显增加，软件创造正在加速，新一代 AI 公司成长和货币化速度远超以往软件公司。这里解读一下， AI 可不只是几家创业公司做个应用那么简单，它其实把整个软件开发的门槛和成本给断崖式拉低了。研发门槛一低，新产品必然会井喷，而这些应用不管怎么变，最后全得跑到底层金融管道上来交水费。第三点，关于 Stripe 内部正在经历的这场 AI 生产力革命，我有原话说，我们创造了 Stripe Minions 内部编码 Agent， 从每周1200个 PR 提升到7000个，一个工程师现在能做2年前2个团队才能完成的工作。这里解读一下，你看 Stripe 是把 AI 当成了多做事情的杠杆，而不是单纯拿来裁员降本的工具。在这波技术浪潮里，真正能吃到 AI 巨大红利的，永远是那些敢用效率提升去无限扩大产品野心，而不是收缩编制的组织。第四点，关于 Build Everything 这个理念，用效率去开疆拓土，而不是单单去优化成本。 Will 的原话是，很多公司把 Agent 效率当成优化成本结构的机会，我们的信念是 Build Everything， 用效率去建更多东西，而不是收缩。这里解读一下，这就是 AI 时代企业战略的分水岭了。有一部分公司用 AI 来节省防守成本，而另一部分公司是用它来开拓防线和新战场。长期的终局赢家必然属于那些把生产力跃升快速转化成产品广度和市场绝对覆盖率的公司。第五点，关于 Agentic Commerce 智能体商业， Will 认为它正在到来，但目前底层的基本功还没做完。 Will 原话， Agentic Commerce 还缺少关键元语，未来结账页面可能消失， AI Agent 会直接代表用户完成购买。这里解读一下，让 AI 帮人买东西这事儿虽然很火，但现在缺少最基础的积木工具，比如怎么安全授权，怎么自动扣款。未来商业的逻辑正在从人类手动点网页变成 AI 自动代下单，整套支付和风控都得重写。而像 Stripe 这类公司天然站在了最核心的位置。第六点，关于 Stablecoins 稳定币， Will 认为它正在成为全球资金流动的全新基础设施。 Will 原话说， Stablecoins 正在成为全球资金移动的基础设施，帮助实现更高效的跨境支付和结算。这里解读一下，稳定币早已不只是加密圈里的交易资产了，说白了，它正在变成下一代的全球清算层。谁能把稳定币无缝嵌入到真实的商业交易场景里，谁就有机会深度参与并重构下一代的跨境金融管网。第七点，我要深入聊到了规模化与产品品味的平衡，在 AI 提效的同时，必须坚守对用户和产品的敏锐品味。 Will 的原话是，在快速扩张和 AI 提效的同时，如何保持产品品味和对用户的深度理解，是 Stripe 持续思考的问题。这里解读一下，技术效率可以通过 AI 去规模化复制，但产品的审美、品味和直觉判断极难被替代。真正能长期保持绝对领先的平台，不仅要拥有 AI 带来的极致速度，更要拥有人类对用户体验和细节的敏锐掌控力。总结一下 Will Gaybrick 的核心判断， Stripe 正在用 AI 杠杆践行 Build Everything 理念，而在他们看来 Tokens 就是新的美元。Agentic Commerce 与 Stablecoins 将作为2大底层核心，全面重塑未来的全球商业与跨境清算体系。OK， 今天的分享就到这里。接下来，如果你还有时间，可以听一听 Will Gaybrick 的原声音频。
I want to start with just a state of Stripe.
Yes.
So what is Stripe today? And, when we originally invested it, it's a payment processor, but now I think the average AI company uses 11 different Stripe products. And at Sessions, I believe you had 288 distinct product launches.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about velocity also, but just to start with just what is the state of Stripe today?
So internally, we think about Stripe as having, inverted our value proposition from being a payments company with sort of add-ons to now being this multi-product platform where everything sort of focuses on financial infrastructure, helping you grow by reducing the friction and increasing the agency, to be more agile with your business model, to operate in more countries, and just go faster when it comes to everything that touches revenue and cash. So, just practically speaking, went from payments to then, billing, subscriptions and invoicing, Connect if you're a platform or marketplace, Radar for mitigating fraud, Radar now for doing many more things than that, tax, and just, I think we don't actually count, but somewhere in and around 25, 30 products that are sort of headlining branded products. And then of course, hundreds and thousands of features below that. But again, the framework we think about is really reducing frictions and increasing agency. So a good example last year, we saw a lot of users for the first time experiencing free trial abuse. And this wasn't really an issue pre-AI because most Stripe users are software companies.
Yeah, and margins.
Yeah, exactly.
Token burden wasn't there yet.
Yeah, so they're wasting a little compute.
Yeah.
But it's negligible. It's de minimis. But now software has a cost structure. And so actually, I think Cursor was the first user that we
I was going to say it was our portfolio where we
exactly
first experienced it. And, I guess internet users can be crafty, but yes.
And I think it was something like 1 in 6 users of free trials were abusive.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, you're just throwing money at these, users who are just signing up for another account, maybe even doing model distillation and things like that. And so we sort of, got in the bunker with them and just stood up in a week.
Said that first half signups grew 50% year over year.
Yes.
And that the median 26 cohort is generating 50% more revenue than the comparable 25 cohort. So, and then I think the 25 cohort was generating 70% more revenue than the comparable 24 cohort.
Yes.
So what has changed?
Yeah. Well, I think 2 things. One is AI is giving rise to so much opportunity for new business creation. There's just things you couldn't do before that you can do now. You couldn't build a Suno 4 years ago, or you could maybe build a much worse Suno 4 years ago. You couldn't build a Higgs field 4 years ago. There's just new things that you can do. And so suddenly the market opportunity landscape is just much broader and you can do more with software. On the other side, the sort of cost of doing more software has decreased a lot because you just need many fewer engineers to build the things that you want to build because of, agentic coding. And so we're just seeing this explosion in new software creation. When you look at the year-on-year increase in usage of Stripe billing, it's actually a lot higher than usage of Stripe overall because it disproportionately skews towards people creating software companies.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. That's awesome to hear. I want to shift now to some of the products that we talked about, right? So you have this proliferation of new products to serve all the needs of companies online. The high level question is how do you do that? How do you guys ship so much product?
Yeah. Well, speed has always been, near the top. Maybe relentless focus on user is probably the top.
Yeah, of course, North Star. Yeah,
exactly. But speed is right up there. And it's interesting, I think a lot about institutional progress. And, we study the great companies that have come before us and now are, beside us. The Amazons are still around, of course, but you look at Stripe and you'd say, okay, well, we have sort of an adapted version of how we set goals. That's
great. Yeah, exactly.
And on the other side, then it's how do you, with your dev prod team, just make the tools better and better and better.
Yeah.
So we create something called Stripe Minions, which we've blogged about a little bit. And, of course, we've got tons of developer tooling to help users iterate with agents. But Minions, we think of as, the most, one of our most important metrics internally is how many PRs and what percentage of our PRs are created by Minions. And the reason for that is that Minions are one shot.
Yeah.
So you give it a prompt and, it's going to build it, and then it's going to, go through CI/CD and all of testing, and then you're going to review it. So you're not going to iterate, not go into planning mode. You're just going to say, this is what I want. Go do it. And so we think, that's kind of where the world is going. It's the one shot or the glorified Ralph loop, where you're just letting the agent be super, super powerful. And so we blogged about Minions, I think in January, February, and they were doing 1,200, PRs per week. And last week, I think 7,000 PRs came from Minions.
Wow.
Yeah. And about 30% of our PRs in that week came from Minions. So, that sort of developer tooling and then the internal processes just get out of the way and make the tools amazing. And that's how we're going to go fast.
That's amazing. In terms of empowering senior engineers who are now more powerful than ever, have you made any dramatic changes to how you organize the company internally? So obviously the Minions example is incredible, and I assume the 30% is going to go to a very high percentage within a year or something. But some of the things that we've heard from other companies is taking your most powerful engineers, putting them into business units or closer to the customers.
Yes.
But then you have sort of coordination problems that come from that. So how have you guys approached that empowerment?
Yeah. So engineers have always been, some of the most important product leaders at Stripe. We build for engineers, for technical users. Of course, we build for many personas at this point, but engineers have always been sort of the hero, ICP,
and not the latter.
Yeah. So I think there was an early narrative, and it still, lingers for sure. And there's some truth to it, of just, we have agents now, we should be more efficient, we should be able to do more with less. And the main thing I actually think about on this front is making our people more productive. We have a tool internally called Kai, which is our sort of knowledge AI tool. And we built it, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. 2 people built it. Now 83% daily actives, 83% weekly actives, about 60% daily actives at Stripe. Seller productivity is increased by 20%. But we're not saying, wow, we need fewer sellers. We're saying, so we need a lot more sellers.
The idea of payback of our sellers just got way better.
Exactly.
We should have way more of them.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, operational teams are just feeling much more productive. Their day-to-day life is more enjoyable. They're using better tools. They're having to do less, manual work. And so, it's almost trite in tech circles now, but the Jevons paradox, an asset becomes more productive. You don't want less, you want more.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is very much the case for us when it comes to engineers. Our engineers are just magnificently more productive. And so I mentioned earlier, just making Stripe a platform for founders, like internal platform for founders. Going forward, you could say, well, because engineers are so productive, there'll just be fewer engineers in the world. And I just really don't believe that. And that's not what we're seeing at all. You see, that much more software creation. There was a narrative, 9 months ago about, SaaS platforms and how they were, vertical platforms, how they were all going to struggle. Our, new SaaS platform cohort is 103% larger than in 2026 than it was in 2025. So people are just saying, well, there's so many spaces that need a SaaS platform. I'm building it faster and faster and faster. And so I think there will be more software engineers in the world. We will need fewer of them to do the things we're already doing.
Right.
And so Stripe then becomes for, new grads and early career engineers more of an incubator of come in, figure out a high agency project that can help our users. Let's get out of your way. Let's create the paved paths. Let's make it easy for you to go faster.
I got it. Okay. I want to shift over to a new topic, which you guys are on the cutting edge of, and which gets a lot of play, but almost in like a nebulous sense. So I'd like to go a little bit deeper on it with you, which is sort of agents engaging in commerce on the internet. So what is the state of where we are today? What are the bottlenecks?
Yes.
And how do you sort of view a framework for how that could be done in the future?
Yeah. So we are, we talked about the Opus 4.5 Cambrian explosion moment. We haven't had that in agentic commerce today.
Right.
Like there isn't there aren't a ton of canonical use cases that you just see repeated over and over and over again. And I think there's a few reasons for that. One is we're missing primitives.
Right. Yeah.
And just that's something we're very focused on. We created with Tempo the machine payments protocol so that services can indicate, what needs to be paid and how you can pay for it. So if you're selling, an image or a piece of content online, you can request it and get a 402 response back. And it just says like, here's how you buy me. So that's a primitive. Like we think machines will want to buy from other machines. And there's just a question of like, what should checkout look like for agents? It's still sort of an open question. Browser automation is getting better. So maybe agents should just be, crawling through checkout forms and filling them out. I think there's still a lot of open questions here.
Yeah. It's like that's the skeuomorphic version.
Exactly.
There's going to be a native version. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's right. I know that's right. So we're sort of at the missing primitives phase and we're sort of figuring that out. And then there's a sociological phase of just in what ways will agentic commerce be better than non-agentic commerce? I think there's some very non-speculative ways in which it'll be better. Like just checkout pages shouldn't exist for humans, with Stripe Link and, shop with Shop Pay. And it's very easy to get through a checkout page these days, but should you even need to go to one, or should you just be able to say, buy it on a, product display page? I think so. I think just checkout pages will go away.
That'll be a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they'll go away. And so that's like a sort of non-speculative, but maybe less ambitious form of agentic commerce.
I actually think that's interesting because they will go away for human users too.
Yes.
This is not just like only.
No, I think they'll just go away.
Yes. Okay. So Stripe Link, like you have like 400 million users on Stripe Link, and then Shop Pay probably has some comparably large number, and then you can use those and just automate the whole process.
Exactly. Yeah, we launched recently the Link Agent wallet, so that there's now just a Link CLI. So an agent can just sweep up Link credentials and go use them with humans in the loop to say how they can use them. I think one of the places we are the most excited about agentic commerce actually is B2B.
Okay.
So we launched Stripe Projects. Stripe Projects is, a way to scaffold apps. That's sort of the narrow definition of it. But the most exciting thing that Stripe Projects is a way to provision B2B services agentically.
Yep.
So you can go, an agent can go adopt Vercel for hosting, and they can do it without you needing to go to Vercel.com and do anything.
This has actually informed our investment thesis in a few investments recently.
Yes.
They're developer tools.
Yes.
And we say, okay, assume, we've talked about the idea of commerce, agentic commerce. Talk about stablecoins. Like you said, there's a lot of friction in the process today, but just state of the stablecoin market and what you see the opportunity to be for the next, call it 5 years.
So I'm an infrastructure nerd, so I always will go there first. And stablecoins are just a better platform for moving money than exists otherwise.
We strongly agree.
Yeah. And better for a couple of reasons. There are certain countries that have rolled out really good payment systems. Most of them are nationalized. UPI in India. Actually, it's interesting when you look at these economies, the percentage of sub $5 payments in India, I believe, is on UPI is, I think, something like 86%. Whereas in the US on cards, I think it's single digits percent.
Yeah.
So, there's some good, cheap, fast payment schemes that are nationalized. Pix, another one in Brazil, which has grown meteorically. But you need a Schelling point for the global economy, right?
Right.
Just what can we all agree on? And that's where crypto rails solve this political problem. Where
Right.
it's just this platform works everywhere. And so if we just all used it, the world, the global financial system would work better, be faster, be cheaper, and so on. So if we all went to sleep tonight and woke up tomorrow and we all held stables, it would just be a better global,
less friction and less cost.
Exactly.
In the economy.
Yeah. Exactly. Now that might be one of those should work this way, may never work this way problems, and so we are sort of resolutely focused on trying to change that. We talked earlier about Stripe Treasury, and we decided to make stablecoins native to Stripe Treasury, so you can just hold a balance in stables just like you can hold a balance in USD or EUR or GBP or anything like that. So we believe that the opportunity for stables is just faster money movement, cheaper money movement, and more global money movement. Right now, you can be a Stripe user in, I can't remember what the exact number is, but around 60 countries in fiat. But you can be a Stripe user in stablecoins in, I think, about 150 countries. So just bringing more people into the online economy in a way that allows them to transact with, the AI companies, and, as the economy, the software economy gets more and more global, bringing more people into it is more and more valuable. You can build a powerful AI company with 2 engineers in Thailand, just as well as you can do it in the US or as well as you can do it in Brazil. So, for stables, for us, it is higher performance, more global. Yeah.
And I like the position that you guys are in as it relates to stablecoins, just because, again, talk about meeting the market where it is. People don't. So in closing, I wanted to just get your take, and this is, I don't want to get too deep into, the role of humans versus AI, but one of the things that Stripe has always been universally recognized for and appreciated for, I think, is your taste, right? And it sounds funny because you're an infrastructure company, but I think it's generally agreed upon. How do you continue to uphold that at such a large scale and with so much of the work that you're doing now being done by AI?
Yeah, it's interesting how much the word taste is being used right now. And it's sort of hard sometimes to, the cynical view is that it's how we're all justifying our future value.
That no one actually has taste, and it's just we're all reproducing,
exactly.
we're reproducing machines of things that we had previously perceived.
Yes. And my fingers are no longer as useful, but this nebulous notion of taste is, and models will never have taste and so on, which is probably just not true.
I agree with you on that.
But to your, more proximate to your question, product quality is really, really core to our culture and to our identity. And it's for a few reasons. One is just we want users to have amazing tools that are carefully crafted, that can make them go faster, enjoy the journey of building a company that much more. It's not an easy journey, but if you have tools that are surprisingly great, it feels that much better. So it's a big user lens. Another dimension of it is it's just more fun. You look at what you created with your team and you're like, wow, that looks amazing, versus, you kind of janked this thing together and it barely works. And, it just isn't as fun, to go through the slog, the long nights, the long weekends, and so on, to build it. And I think the single thing I would say for scaling taste at Stripe, well, actually 2 things. One is I think it has to be tops down. You just have to say it 100% over and over and over again. It's like the company strategy of win the startups and win them again. It's like talk about quality and talk about it again. And then the other thing is just use the product. And make it easy to use the product. In aviation, simulation